welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. If you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend you listen to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. I've also set up a Facebook group for us to connect and to support each other, and I'd love for you to join me over at Elements of Ayurveda podcast group. And now, here's the show. Hello, and welcome back to Elements of Ayurveda. This is Colette, and today's episode is all about healing herbs 101. I want to talk about some common herbs that you may have growing in your own home, and I want to encourage you to use these herbs as a medicine. Remember, food is medicine. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about parsley, cilantro, and basil, or basil as we call it in Ireland. And what are their benefits? What are the energetics of these herbs according to Ayurveda? And what they're used to treat in Ayurveda also. Now, of course, I always want to empower you to take charge of your own health and to educate you on the healing properties of foods and herbs and spices. And you can use these to treat some common ailments, whether it be colds or flus or coughs or bites or so on. But if it comes to anything serious, any big health concerns, I always recommend that you speak with your practitioner first. And I think that's very important. When it comes to small, simple ailments, of course, the spices, the herbs, the foods are amazing. But when it comes to more serious illnesses and conditions, please consult with your practitioner. So today, like I said, it's going to be parsley, cilantro, and basil, and we're going to start with parsley. Now, parsley is a very popular herb, but is often used as just a garnish. And it's really a shame because parsley should really be awarded a higher status than that of a garnish. Wait till you hear all about the benefits of parsley. First of all, parsley is a relative to celery, and it comes from the Greek word meaning rock celery. Parsley is native to the Mediterranean region of southern Europe, and the ancient Greeks considered parsley to be sacred, and they used it in many of their ceremonies. Now, there are two popular types of parsley. They are the curly parsley and then the Italian flat leaf parsley. The Italian variety tends to have a bit more fragrance and be less bitter than the curly variety. Parsley contains two components which make it really unique. The first one being volatile oils and the second one being flavonoids. So let's start with the volatile oils found in parsley, particularly myristicin, which has been shown in animal studies to inhibit tumor formation, and in particular, tumors in the lungs, and therefore it qualifies parsley as a chemoprotective food in that it is cancer preventing. Now, the second component that makes parsley very unique are the flavonoids, which are powerful antioxidants with anti-inflammatory and immune system benefits. And the flavonoids found in parsley, especially luteolin, have been shown to function as antioxidants that combine with the highly reactive oxygen-containing molecules, which are called oxygen radicals, and they help prevent oxygen-based damage to the cells. Now, another flavonoid found in parsley is apigenin, which has been found to have strong anti-cancer properties. And there have been lots of studies published in PubMed and journal articles detailing research on apigenin, with the conclusion that this flavonoid has the potential to significantly reduce cancer progression. Now, parsley is a rich source of chlorophyll and fiber, and it's an excellent source of vitamin C and K, and a great source also of vitamin A, as well as beta-carotene, folate, and iron. So let's see now what Ayurveda has to say about parsley. Well, the energetics are that it's pungent, therefore it's heating, and it's astringent, therefore it's drying. It is considered good for all three doshas, but it does increase pitta in excess. In Ayurveda, parsley is considered a stimulant and a diuretic as well, in that it's taking water out of the body. Parsley has been used to treat edema, for the fact that it's a diuretic and it excretes the water out of the body, but without losing electrolytes. It's also treated for any skin rashes that are oozing, and of course then it's used topically. And it's also used when there is any difficulties with menstruation or delayed menstruation. It's used in cases of gall and kidney stones. It aids in eliminating environmental toxins from the body. It is considered a blood and lymph cleanser. It's used in urinary tract infections, also in any disorders related to the kidney, the bladder, or the prostate. It's also used with adrenal or thyroid gland conditions, and it can, of course, help correct vitamin and mineral deficiencies, especially as we mentioned earlier. It's an excellent source of vitamin C, K, and A, and the minerals of folate, iron, as well as beta-carotene. And it's also known for freshening the breath. So these are what parsley is used for in Ayurveda. Of course, like I said earlier, for any serious conditions, you consult with your practitioner. But how can you use parsley in your own food and in your own kitchen? Well, 1 tablespoon of raw chopped parsley per day is great, and you can add it at the end of cooking, because if you cook it too much, the heat really could affect the vitamins and the volatile compounds in the parsley that give it a lot of its benefits. Or if you can't access fresh parsley, you could sprinkle a small amount of dried parsley into your food. Of course, fresh is always better, but if you are using the dried herbs, just take them in your hands first and then rub the herb in your hand so you're releasing those oils, and that will make sure you get those benefits. Now, it's great to use parsley in springtime as it really helps the body to detox. However, in summer, pitta, as you know, rises in the summertime. So for those who are showing any pitta imbalances or experiencing any pitta aggravation, you may be more sensitive to parsley that time of the year. So just be aware of that for pitta, parsley can be heating when used in excess, or if you're showing any signs of pitta aggravation. Now, generally, I buy my parsley at the local farmers market. And so my recommendations for when you buy parsley fresh is that when you get home from the market, that you just cut off the end of the stalks. They're usually dried out. And then that you just put your parsley in a jar of water and place in the refrigerator. Some people recommend that you cover it with plastic. I try to avoid using plastic, so I just leave it as is, and I've never had an issue. I change the water every couple of days, but that parsley can stay fresh for up to a week. And it, even if I bring it home from the farmer's market and it was wilting and looking very sad, the minute I put it in some water in the fridge, after just an hour or so, it looks really great and healthy again. So you can also dry parsley. Say, for example, if you bought a lot of fresh parsley and you see that it's going to go off soon, you're not going to get to use it, then all you do is take off the leaves and place it in a single layer on a kitchen towel until it has dried out. And then once dried, then just store it in a glass jar. Now, for the curly leaf parsley, it's really advised to freeze that instead of drying it, because then it will keep its flavor. It may lose its crispness, but it will keep its flavor. And you can even use that just from frozen. So how to use parsley? Well, in the summertime, I would use it in smoothies. In winter and spring, I use it in sauces. I shared a sauce recently in one of my newsletters, and I'll also put that sauce again on the podcast Facebook group, the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group. But basically, it was a sauce made with avocado and parsley and salt and pepper and some lemon, blended, and you can add olive oil if you wanted to make it, thin it out a little bit. But I use that sauce a lot, and I really love it. And here in France, a very popular dressing is Parsley, which is made from parsley, garlic, and oil. And of course, you'll often find parsley in Middle Eastern cuisine, for example, like in tabbouleh. So I would encourage you to add parsley to your shopping list and tell me how you use it. Head on over to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group. Tell me how you use it. Maybe you have some ideas and suggestions for others. That would be really great. I look forward to hearing your ideas over there. Okay, so that's parsley. And next one I want to go on to is cilantro, or coriander as it's known in Europe. Now in the US, I know that coriander is considered the seed, and then the fresh herb is considered cilantro. So I'm going to use cilantro here, but I'm talking about coriander as well. So cilantro has been used in the Mediterranean region, Africa, and the Middle East and Central Asia for its culinary and medicinal benefits. Now, some people love it, and then some people think it smells like soap. I particularly love it, but this seems to be a genetic issue. So the people who think that it smells like soap, I guess they have a variation in a group of olfactory receptor genes that causes them to strongly perceive a soapy flavor to the cilantro leaves. Cilantro is rich in phytonutrients and flavonoids. It's a great source of fiber and vitamins A, B, C, and K. It also contains calcium, iron, potassium, and magnesium. It has proven antiseptic, antifungal, antioxidant, and antibacterial properties. So cilantro is a powerful cleansing agent that specifically targets toxic metals that can accumulate in our endocrine system. These metals also can accumulate in our muscle tissue and our bones. So the compounds in cilantro leaf bind to the toxic metals and loosen them from the affected tissues. And this process allows the metals to be released from the body naturally, as cilantro helps to support the body's natural detoxification processes. So now let's look at how Ayurveda views coriander or cilantro. It's considered sweet, bitter, pungent, and astringent, and it has a cooling effect on the body. It pacifies Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, but it really aids in decreasing Pitta. So it's a really balancing herb for Pitta. It does increase Vata in excess because it can be astringent, drying, and it has that pungency as well. Cilantro is considered to be a stimulant and a diuretic in Ayurveda. It can be used in many Pitta disorders, particularly in the digestive and urinary tracts, where there's irritation or heat or inflammation that requires cooling and pacifying. So in Ayurveda, it's used in situations like skin conditions for bites or burns or inflammation, and obviously that will be used on top of the skin. It's used in situations where there's edema. Cilantro is considered a mild diuretic, which is good in order not to overstimulate the kidneys. It's used in cases of hay fever. The fresh juice of cilantro is really effective internally, but it can also be used externally for itch and inflammation related with hay fever. Cilantro builds the digestive fire. The coriander seed in particular is an excellent remedy for promoting Pitta digestion, as it kindles the agni, the digestive fire, but does not aggravate acidity. It is safe to use when there's a lot of inflammation in the digestive system, but the agni needs strengthening. So that the coriander seed is excellent for that. Cilantro is also used in case of sore throat, hyperacidity, nausea, fever, colds. It's a great thirst quencher. So it's really good if you have excessive thirst, which can commonly occur with the Pitta aggravation. Therefore, it's perfect in summertime. It cleanses the blood. The leaf is used to facilitate safe excretion of heavy metals and other environmental toxins like we talked about earlier. It's also used in case of the liver and bile. Coriander is a mild spice that really helps promote liver energy and improve the appetite when the liver is sluggish or congested. It's also used for any burning or urinary tract infections. It relieves conjunctivitis by just placing the pulp on the eyelids. It can really help in situations with conjunctivitis. And it can be used to balance the heat of pungent foods. So if you have anything hot like curries or spicy foods or even yogurts, any sour foods, it can really be used to balance and offset the pungent and the sour taste. So how to use cilantro? Well, you would store it the same way as you do parsley. At least I do. I cut off the ends of the herb and then I place it in a jar with some water. Place it in the fridge. It doesn't last as long as parsley. It's a little bit more delicate. So really you should consider using it quite soon after purchasing it. Now, as I mentioned, it's often used to counter hot dishes. So this is great to use if you're making like a salsa or guacamole or like a chimichurri sauce. I use it, in the Pitta balancing khichdi. We use cilantro. You could also use this in a summer smoothie if you want more cooling, if you feel like your Pitta is aggravated, or add it to salads in the summertime. It's really great. And to make a cooling cilantro or coriander tea, like I mentioned earlier, it's really good for quenching the thirst. So that's an excellent one. And particularly if you're doing any sports in summertime, or maybe you're a competitive athlete, or you do a lot of competition, remember that taking the coriander seeds and steeping them in some warm hot water and allowing it to cool and strain it, that could be something fantastic to have during your competitive events. So again, I encourage you to use cilantro and coriander seed in your cooking, and please let me know what you use it for, or were you inspired today to try some new dishes? Love to hear. Join us over at the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group and let me know your thoughts there. The final herb we're going to talk about today is basil or basil. Which way will I say it? I think I'm used to saying it like basil now, so I'm going to stick with basil. Basil is part of the mint family. Now, this herb is found on every continent, and there are many, many varieties. Sweet basil is the most commonly used in cooking, and it is considered sweet, bitter, and pungent. Therefore, it's a little heating, and it is balancing for vata and kapha. However, pitta, because of the heating qualities, you need to use this in smaller amounts. Now, the variety I want to talk about today is holy basil, or Tulsi as it's called. And this is what I'm going to focus on because it's considered more therapeutic and it's very special in Ayurveda. Tulsi is indigenous to the Indian subcontinent, and it's a bushy shrub-like plant, and it has these lavender-colored flowers, and then it has a fruit that consists of like a tiny rust-colored nut. Now, in India, this herb is considered a powerful protector, And in Hindu mythology, the plant is an incarnation of the goddess Tulsi, offering divine protection, and is found in Indian temples and courtyards and homes, and is used in many ceremonies. Tulsi is called the queen of herbs, and Tulsi means incomparable or matchless. So let's talk about all the benefits of holy basil, otherwise known as Tulsi. It contains vitamins A and C, and also contains calcium, zinc, iron, and chlorophyll. It is also considered a natural adaptogen. Now, an adaptogen is a natural substance that helps your body adapt to stress and promotes mental balance. Holy basil has been shown to have antidepressant and anti-anxiety properties similar to antidepressant drugs. Studies have shown that it can help people feel more social and less anxious. Holy basil contains a phytochemical that have the ability to help the body fight cancer. Studies have been published in the Journal of Nutrition and Cancer stating that holy basil contains phytochemicals which may be able to naturally help prevent cancer by reducing the growth of cancerous cells. Pretty amazing there. So let's see, how does Ayurveda view Tulsi or holy basil? Well, it's considered bitter, astringent, and pungent. Therefore, it's a warming herb. It really helps to reduce kapha, and it can pacify vata and pitta. However, as it's warming, it can increase pitta in excess. Now, in Ayurveda, it's used widely, and here are just some of the ways it's used in Ayurveda. Because it reduces kapha, and we know kapha when imbalanced really affects the lungs, therefore Tulsi is really excellent with any respiratory tract health, colds, flus, congestion, mucus, any lung conditions, asthma. This herb really helps you breathe freely by enhancing circulation and breaking up any congestion, and it induces sweating, so it really helps you to sweat out a cold or any illness. Tulsi has been shown to prevent DNA damage and the potential for tumor creation in a number of studies. Now, researchers from the University of Nebraska Medical Center tested holy basil against human pancreatic cancer cells in the laboratory. They found that Tulsi blocked the growth of the cancer cells into tumors. Tulsi blocked their proliferation and their migration and their invasion of pancreatic cells. So that's pretty amazing research there. Now, Ayurveda also uses Tulsi in the cases of fever, for oral health, for headaches. Tulsi really helps to settle stomach disorders. It decreases stomach acid. It relieves digestive gas and bloating. And it also helps in conditions of stomach ulcers, and research from the College of Pharmacy at the University of Delhi found that the oil of holy basil was able to counteract ulcer effects. Tulsi also enhances digestion and helps to reduce blood sugar. It is a mild natural sleep aid, and it enhances the quality of sleep. It promotes mental clarity. It has anti-inflammatory properties and relieves joint pain. Tulsi really boosts wound healing because it's antibacterial, it's antiviral, it's antifungal, and it's a natural painkiller. Now, Tulsi is well known for reducing stress and anxiety, which we talked about earlier, and research has shown that Tulsi reduces oxidative stress, and often referred to as an adaptogen. This meaning that it helps the body to cope with stresses that burden our bodies, and stresses like physical, chemical, emotional, or otherwise. In fact, it can also help rid your home of environmental toxins. And as I said earlier, you will find holy basil plant around or in the homes in India. Now, Tulsi is considered sattvic. It also promotes balance and harmony. And like I said, it's a very important herb in Ayurvedic medicine. So how would you use holy basil? Well, you can use the leaves and the flowers to make holy basil tea. And you can do that by taking about a tablespoon of the leaves or flowers and then putting it in 2 cups of hot water, allowing it to steep for 5 to 7 minutes. And then you can strain and enjoy that. Or you can purchase Tulsi tea. It's available widely. You can also use the leaves in cooking. They tend to be a little spicy and bitter, but you could use it in things like stews or soups or curries. And you can also take it in a tablet or supplement format. However, as I mentioned earlier, I really recommend consulting with your practitioner before taking it in a concentrated form. And in particular, if you're pregnant, trying to get pregnant, or if you're breastfeeding, because even though there has been no human studies done, there have been studies done with animals that show that Tulsi may have a negative impact on fertility of both genders. And there hasn't been a study, like I said, on human form, but it has shown in animals that these effects are reversible, so that's good news. But if you are someone who's trying to get pregnant, or you're pregnant or breastfeeding, I always recommend consulting with your practitioner before taking any supplements. So there you go. That's my Healing Herbs 101 today. I hope you enjoy that. I hope that I have encouraged you to add parsley, cilantro, and basil to your shopping list, and let me know what the results are. Let me know how you're using it. Maybe share some photos over on the podcast Facebook group. The link will be in the show notes. I would love to see that. Thanks so much for tuning in. A reminder that I have my Ayurveda and yoga retreat coming up here on the French Riviera, October 11th to the 13th. And so it's a 3-day retreat, and we're going to connect, we're going to learn, we're going to have fun, we're going to relax in this lovely village here, which is just 7 kilometers outside of Nice. It's like nestled in between Nice and Monaco, right here on the Riviera. And Nice is an international airport, so lots of flights. Like I said before, direct flights from New York. So very easy to get to. And in this retreat, we're going to be doing yoga classes. I'm going to give Ayurvedic talks. There's going to be a lot of education. And we're going to have fun in some workshops as well. So if you're looking for something to do in October, I'd love to meet you in person and have you here in this little village I live in. October is a great time to come because it's still warm. You can still swim in the Med. The tourists have gone and the kids are back in school. So it's nice and quiet at that time of the year, but you still get great weather. And as always, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. And if you wish, rate and review the podcast over on iTunes. I would really appreciate that because it helps others to find the podcast. And thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. I love hearing from you. I get lovely emails and posts over at the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group, and I truly appreciate it. I love doing this. I love being of service in this way and bringing you the wisdom from Ayurveda and also some great interviews and many more interviews to come. Take good care of yourself. Be well, and ciao for now.